Hey there crew, it's Mark, and in today's video we are going to be taking a look at Night Owl Journal. I used their 6-month journal over the last half of this year and I absolutely fell in love with all of the features of this. So today we're going to talk about the features of this journal system, we're talking about the new colors, and I'm also going to show you how I used mine this year to give you some ideas on how you might be able to use yours. This past year I used my very first one. This was my first introduction into this journal as a whole, and it has been pretty incredible on how I've used it, and I'll talk about that in just a few minutes and some of the customizations that I've made to it as well. But what I want to do first is just introduce what Night Owl journals are and talk a little bit about the features that are inside of this, because this could honestly change the game in how you plan. So in my hands currently, I have 2 journals. Each of these are a 6-month journal. The first one will take us from January to June. The other will take us from July to December. I love the fact that you can choose if you want 6 months or something different inside of these. You don't have to go all in and buy both, but you certainly can. There are 3 different colors this year, so it's a little bit different than last year. You can't really see it, but this was just pink. I had to do some of that customization on here, but this year we have some different colors. So the first half of the year is going to be in the driftwood color that we have here. I love that there are different colors that you can choose this year. For me personally, I don't have to customize it. Even though that was super fun to do, I like using journals just right out of the packaging, just like this. There's also a Highland green color for the second half of the year and an apricot if you want. So no matter what, January through June is going to be in the driftwood gray, and then you can choose what color you want for the second half of the year, apricot or Highland green. Each of these journals has 320 pages, and that's going to be Tomoe River paper. So if you've ever used Tomoe River paper before, it is a beautiful paper to write on, very smooth, but it is a little bit thin. So something that I always do in the back of my journals, and I did this last year, was to do a pen test so you could see. So I used a bunch of different stuff inside of here: ink pens, gel pens, highlighters, watercolor even, and different size of nibs as well for my pens. And as you can see, there's a lot of ghosting that happens because this paper is so incredibly thin. Think about that. We have 320 pages inside of one journal here. Just to show you in comparison to a journal that has 192 pages, this paper is 160 GSM paper. This is 52 GSM paper, but Tomoe River paper. So it works very well. It's fountain pen friendly. But you do have to kind of get used to the ghosting if it's not something that you currently like inside of your journal. It was an adjustment for me, but I can say that I can overlook that easily with how functional this planner is. One of my favorite features of this journal is that the headers are already built in here. If you really are just trying to get something and get started with it, this is a fantastic option for you. Up in the top corner, as we're going throughout, you'll see that we have titles. So we have an index here that's already built in. We have the really nice grid. So it's not going to be dot grid, but actual grid paper throughout on all of our open pages. There is a goal setting page if you want to utilize this. You could also use this for habit tracking or kind of setting up yearly things for yourself. There's already going to be a built-in section here for a future log if you wanted to use this for this section. They don't title this page because you could use it for anything, but if you're using the bullet journal method, you could just simply write each month inside of here for the next 6 months and you're going to be good to go. Once you make it through there, the next several pages are going to be all about the monthly overview. This has been one of the coolest and best parts of this journal for me personally. I'm actually building this into my bullet journal that I'm using for work this year. All of them are in here. We have Monday starts for each of the months. You have a lot of extra space around the margins of this calendar to use. So if you do track anything monthly or write notes for yourself, you can do that over here. You also have some space depending on the calendar layout as well. And then behind each month, there are 2 open pages. So again, if you wanted, you could use this for your habit tracking, notes, kind of any monthly reflections that you may want to do as well. So that'll take us all the way to June in the back here. You get those additional 2 pages, and then we go into our first weeklies. Each of your months are going to be marked on these small colored tabs that are on here. So they don't stick out, but they are colored on the edges. So as you're going through, you can easily and quickly find what you're looking for. Each of the weeklies has the dates here across the top. You have your monthly calendar here and plenty of space week to week as you go through here too. So again, whenever you're jotting down notes and whatnot, each of the verticals have a time span between 5 and 9. So depending how your schedule works, this can work out really well. I was thinking about this last year when I first started using this. If you work something like a standard like 9 to 5 day, then you have a really great space inside of here that you can use for your meetings or whatever else might be going on. But say you work overnights, maybe you start your day later on in the evening and go into the morning time. You can use this as well if you need to, all depending on where you're starting your day and following up on the next. So there's a lot of versatility that can happen inside of here. It doesn't have to be your standard 9 to 5 to use a schedule like this. You could have a completely different work hour than everyone else and still be able to utilize the time and the blocking that's on here. I personally really like that they have these notches here, but for me, I wanted to be able to find them a little bit quicker. So I actually added my own monthly stickers on here. So as I was flipping through, I could easily just find the beginning of each month and kind of just go through there. So this was just an add-on that I put inside of these books, but it's utilizing the same tab color system. I just did it a little bit differently for mine personally. The monthly overview, the weekly spreads I love, but my favorite part of this, which I do not see in a lot of other journals, is how many pages you get for open journaling. So a big part with a lot of planners that I've used before is that they only have those monthly or those weekly overviews and not a lot of extra paper for writing. This journal has 247 blank pages, so that's going to include the blank pages that are in between each of these months. But the bigger part back here is that that's about 234 pages worth of blanks that you could use for notes or whatever else you might want to do inside of this journal. Which again, if you're comparing it to something bigger that even has 192 pages, that's not including any monthlies or weekly overviews as well. So you're getting so much inside of this small little package. Speaking of package, let me go ahead and mention that this is a B6 journal that's going to be in here. So compared to an A5 size here, you can see the size difference here. It's not too significant. Honestly, I felt like, oh gosh, is this too small for me? But honestly, I've been writing in mine without any problems whatsoever. So I wanted to share with you how I've used mine this past year because this is my first time using this. The first thing I did, as you can see, is I completely customized this. As I mentioned, it only came in pink originally, and that's not quite my color, but I wanted to still utilize this. So I just covered it with stickers and I painted on the cover here and did everything I needed to. And I'm actually really happy with it. I think it looks pretty cool. And every time I go somewhere, people are like, that is a pretty darn cool looking planner you got there, Mark. I did use the index here. I didn't use a lot of the pages in the back because I was using my bullet journal for a lot of things, but I have been adding a handful of notes back here and doing other pieces. Really, the big thing for me, as I mentioned before, was really utilizing these monthly overviews. I fell in love with monthly overviews in a different planner that I had, and this was giving me exactly what I needed in a smaller profile, and it had everything that I needed inside of it. So I've been able to really utilize these, putting down meeting notes, the events the girls had. I even color-coded when things got really busy in October for myself as a just really great way to be like, this is what I'm doing, here's how I'm functioning and what's happening. I love that I've been able to work ahead and jot things down quickly inside of here. Yes, there is that future log section that I could have used in here, and I did use it every now and again, but honestly, I love just putting things right into my calendar dates, and then I'm seeing them when I'm coming along to them. Because I'm using my bullet journal for work, I don't jot down a ton of notes inside of here. A lot of what I'm doing has to do with things for work, like capacity planning, but I will write down notes if it makes sense. I'll put some of my meeting starter questions over in here too for a Monday meeting that I'm doing. So in a way, it's kind of utilizing the planner for what I need it for. I'm utilizing this for capacity for my team. Therefore, I'm going to write down a lot of my Monday morning things inside of here and get things started. Depending where I am, I'll also write down pieces inside of here because I use this as a calendar versus my bullet journal. I use as like a weekly overview, task, and notes. I haven't really been using this planner for that as I've been going through, but I love time blocking things inside of here, utilizing colors, writing things down. It's just been really helpful for me to visualize what I'm doing inside of my journal, what's happening, what's going on, and where. And it's just overall, like I said, been a really fantastic experience this year. If this journal seems like something that might be right for you, it's kind of fitting all of those needs that you've been missing out on other planners, you can head over to alpaper.co and you can check out their full lineup this year. As I mentioned, you have a few different options to go with. You can get a full year, so both of these 6 months journals for 2024. Get them in Driftwood and Highland Green or Driftwood and Apricot. Or if you want to just try it out just for 6 months, you can choose to get the January through June in the Driftwood color here, and then your July through December in Apricot or Highland Green. If you're interested, there's also a B6 polyband cover that fits over top of these planners. It has a really nice, strong, thick elastic band. You also are creating a pen loop for yourself so you can keep everything together. As you can tell, I'm just generally excited about what Marissa has done with Owl Paper journals. This is a journal that's been built for us, people who want to use this but have been missing little pieces inside of other journals as well. So if you want to learn more, head over to owlpaper.co and you'll be able to find out more about these planners as well as the accessories that we talked about in today's video. And I'd love to hear from you as well and let me know what you're thinking about for your planners this year. Is this a planner that might be able to fit your needs, or do you have something different in mind? I'll talk with you soon. See ya.